Hello there. You're reading A Question of Yams by Gloria Rep. Chapter 6, God's Carving. The next day, Father went to help the missionaries, and he took Kuri with him. Joyce was bent over the table where she did her work. Father sat in a chair, and Kuri did too. He stared at the floor and tried to think of the right words to say. After a while, Father said, "My son wants to know God." Kuri gave Joyce a quick glance. He saw the smile in her eyes, so he asked, "How can you tell what God's talk is?" "I see the words he gave us in his book." He looked at the table. "What words?" She picked up something that looked like a dry banana leaf. It had rows of black marks on it. "These are words," she said. She pointed to the marks. "I look at these words and I can hear what they say." Kuri leaned across the table. He stared hard at the black marks, but they didn't say anything to him. He turned to Joyce with a frown. "I hear the words in my head when I read them," she said quickly. Kuri looked at his father. "Can you read these words?" "No." Father's voice was sad. "When I see Joyce making God's carving in our talk, I want to read too. But it will take me a long time. I think my head is very hard." After a minute, he said, "But you could learn right now." Joyce smiled at them. "You could both learn to read. Kuri, I could begin teaching you today if you really want to." Later, when Kuri left Joyce's house, he felt like singing. She had talked to him some more about Jesus Christ. Then they prayed. After that, she had started to teach him about the little black marks on the dry banana leaf. Kuri looked up at his father, who walked quietly beside him. "I think I like reading," he said. "Now I know the marks for pig and father and house. Maybe soon I will be able to read God's carving for myself." His father shook his head, but he had a smile on his face. "There are many more words to learn. Joyce has boxes and boxes of words. But keep on, my son, and you will be glad." They came to a fork in the path, and Father turned toward the garden. "Let's go this way," he said. He stopped at the edge of the stream. "Thank God that he has kept this water from drying up. If all the Christians work with us, maybe our yams will still be good. You can help too." Soon Kuri was working harder than he ever had in his whole life. Every day he carried buckets and buckets of water from the stream all the way up the hill to the garden. He dumped buckets and buckets of water over the thirsty yams plants. While he worked, he thought about the words he was trying to learn. Joyce had made the black marks for his new words on pieces of dry banana leaf that she called paper. Then she had stuck the paper together into a book. Each book had words and pictures that told a story. Now Kuri could read some of the books by himself. One part of God's carving was a book named Mark. It was the book Kuri liked best. The first time he read from the book of Mark, he ran all the way home. "I read God's carving today," he told his mother. "I read it in our own words, and I understood it with my heart, not just my ears." She smiled at him. "Maybe you can read it to me too." He smiled back. "Yes, it tells about Jesus Christ, the mighty Son of God. Even the spirits obey him." His mother nodded. "I would like to hear about that."